But you only confirmed that the door was locked, and did not open the door to check.
Yes, I didn't go in, and I don't know if the painting was at that time. After the fireworks show, the master continued to work in the study. It was approaching 10 p.m. I saw that it was late, and wanted to call the master to rest. The master said that he wanted to go to the exhibition hall to see the painting at last. But when we arrived at the exhibition hall, we discovered that the painting was stolen.
In other words, either the novelist stole the painting when he returned to the exhibition hall to take the suitcase, or someone else stole the painting during the period between the novelist's departure and 10 p.m. that night.
It sounds like you stole it, Mr. Novelist.
Lady, don't make such a joke at this time.
Okay. Both the suspect and the real culprit are forbidden to enter. Don't try to destroy the evidence. Just stand here and say anything.
I am not the culprit.
In other words, after the novelist leaves, it's impossible to have anyone in the exhibition hall. The painting can only be stolen before the fireworks show is over.
Yes, that's right. That's it. He stole it.
It's not me. It's really not me.
Remember carefully, when you finally took the key to the room to take the suitcase, did you see that the painting was still there?
I was walking in a hurry, so I didn't have time to pay attention, and I didn't know.
Ha ha! Do not pay attention, or you do not dare to elaborate on the efforts to steal this painting.
How could it be possible for me to steal this, Mr. Inference?
You stole
it.
It's
you.
Not me. I didn't steal it.
Done? That's fine. The door lock is intact and undamaged. The ventilation layer of the window is locked, and it cannot be shaken inside or outside. And there is no trace of damage. In the end, the fireplace in the exhibition hall does not allow anyone to pass through, so once the door is locked, it is indeed impossible to enter here.
Wow, it's a secret room.
Where are these words to prove my innocence, Mr. Inference?
Mr. Butler, how many keys are there in the exhibition hall?
3.
What? 3. This is different from his deduction just now.
Why don't you take the initiative to say if you don't ask? If it wasn't for Inference to ask, wouldn't you be misled by your 2 keys?
Shh. Master, 1 for me, and a spare key. The spare key is in the basin, in the viburnum potted plant. Just in case, I will check it every morning. Of course, the exhibition hall has been guarded by the police from last night to just now, except this morning.
Wait a second, Truth. Don't go there.
What happened? Let's listen to what my great detective said.
Where do you put the spare key on the pot, and how to put it? Be more specific.
The surface of the soil layer. Put it flat from the edge of the flower pot, and just put it. The flower ball on it will be hidden, and you can't see it, if you don't deliberately find it.
Huh? That's not right. Not on the soil. This key is stuck on the flower branch. Have the key been moved by someone else? Fortunately, Inference Onichan had to stop myself. Otherwise I will become a scapegoat.
This is obviously a method of placing from top to bottom. I pushed it from the edge of the flower pot, to put it on top of the soil. This is indeed not the key I put.
Sure enough, a second person with a bad heart has appeared.
Congratulations, you have reduced your suspicion by 1%, Mr. Novelist. So, someone took a spare key to steal the painting. The person who steals the painting is among us?
No, the suspicion of the novelist still cannot be removed. What if the spare key has been touched? As long as the key is still in the house, it is impossible for the person holding the key to lock the door from the outside. Yes, that's right. Could it be that his hand is rubber, which can be compressed to the size of the door, put the key back in the flower pot, and then retract it?
That's why I said that this is a secret room at the beginning.
Secret room?
Then what we are looking for is evidence of how the culprit returned the key from the outside to the house.
Wait! Only this kind of thing will completely rule out the novelist's suspicion, and start to restore some secret rooms that may not exist at all, or due to childish.
It is because there are always people who ask stupid questions, and Mr. Inference is more and more interested in explaining clues to others the more impatient he is. It's like he keeps all clues in his heart now, and doesn't talk to others much.
Damn, dude, I really want to be beat. Sorry, big boss!
There was originally a Muse painting hanging here.
Hey.
Don't game me, I said. Let you stay at the door.
Huh? Why? I still need to be suspected. I steal myself?
It's impossible for others, but it's hard to say for you.
You think people are too sinister, My great detective. This is my home. I just think you might need the owner here to provide additional clues outside of the scene.
Additional clues? Okay, I listen to you.
Please ask questions.
The origin of the painting?
I bought it.
Fuck you. I'm asking you the source of this painting.
Unfortunately, I don't know the history of this painting, and I don't even know who the author is.
I know you. If you really don't know the value of this painting, you won't collect it, and more than once.
Why collect it? Because this painting is beautiful. You must always allow human aesthetics to fluctuate around the value of art and respect aesthetic differentiation.
I just quietly watching you pretend to force.
Does my great detective have anything else I want to ask?
I want the photo of the painting.
Hey, no, let's talk about that painting looks like. Haven't you seen it before?
No, are you?
Yes. This is not true. It's an art to immobilize people in time in a photo forever. But if the art is sealed in a photo, it loses its beauty. Isn't it? What did you find that made my great detective so happy?
These are two roots. You mean?
It seems that no matter how many people there are, it is difficult to understand. I can't help you.
It's rare that you don't see red by your side, but this time at least it's not as boring as I thought.
I'm not a god of death, so how can I be dead everywhere, unless someone wants to be a cocoon? What does this have to do with me?
Evidence that can prove that Mr. Novelist is an innocent person. In fact, there are many from the beginning. You think the novelist is a thief. It's just because he is the only one who has been out of the manor, and you think he is the only one who can take the painting out. But the police did not find the painting in his house. How can you be sure that the painting must be sent out? Is it possible that the painting are still hidden in the manor?
What if they didn't find it? He must be hiding well! How can't they be searched overnight?
You also said the most of the police were sent out to search. But the novelist went back and forth in such a short time and passed through so many places. He stayed at home most of the time last night. This was the landlady testified. The Count's manor is not small, isn't it?
Regardless of whether the Muse painting was taken out of the manor at the end, there is always a need to carry the frame, something with such sharp edges and corners. Besides his suitcase, what else can he hide?
Makes sense.
His suitcase is full of manuscripts. Anyone who has seen this can testify, right, maid?
So what?
Lend me your suitcase. Such a thick stack of paper, such a thick, he definitely didn't throw away. If it's hidden in his clothes, take a look. Novelist has squeezes into the visibly smaller formalware from yesterday to today. He hasn't had time to change it. The coat is still hanging in your cloakroom. How can he hide it?
I suddenly thought of Mr. Inference that when I went out this morning, so this can be used as evidence. Did Mr. Inference think of it a long time ago?
How do you know that he definitely didn't throw away the painting? Maybe he burned it in the fireplace.
But this is the easiest thing to expose, in such a short period of time. If there is a residue that is not burned, then he is not seeking his own death. In addition, what do you think Mr. Inference did for checking the fireplace in the first place? One of course is to confirm that the secret room environment is reached, and the other is to check whether there are traces of burning. If there is a problem, Mr. Inference will say it at the beginning. Lastly, the manuscripts of several books that the novelist wants to show to the Count. It's here without missing a single piece.
Without missing a single piece, how do you know?
Don't worry about this. Mr. Inference and I secretly checked the novelist's suitcase while he was asleep yesterday. The manuscripts in the suitcase are completely coherent, and there are exactly the few books published by the novelist without missing a single piece.
So the 2-hour sleep that Mr. Inference said last night was actually a pretense, but I never thought to blame them for secretly checking my manuscripts. After all, they prepared all night. To maintain suspicion of the suspect and not let go of any doubt is one of the qualities that a detective should have.
What a wonderful deducting. I wonder if the lady will be the student surpasses the teacher in the future? Is the investigation over? How is it?
Search everything.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Detective, what are you doing?
Sir, we found it.
This is the leaf on the Count's Baccarat brand crystal candlestick.
The candlestick in the exhibition hall are symmetrical, and it is obvious without this one.
What's going on?
Do you know why others were so enthusiastic about you that night?
Oh, I see.
Based on my deduction, this gay auctioneer—
I'm not gay!
This auctioneer pulls out the leaf on the Baccarat brand crystal candlestick. Then the auctioneer shook his shoulders with Novelist and talked to Novelist intimately, so the Novelist has the leaf on the Baccarat brand crystal candlestick. You're so gay.
But I have to say that this method is too obvious.
According to the Novelist's description, the only person who had close physical contact with him on the day of the crime was you. You put this crystal chip, right?
You talk nonsense! Did you see me entering the exhibition hall? Not by sea! Both of you were hired by my thief for money and came here! The crystal chip is in his pocket! Don't use out him! Suspect me instead! If you think so, give evidence!
Being able to conceal a painting that those policemen can't find until now, but is too lazy to hide a decoration that needs to be specially pulled from the candlestick. As a fugitive, he dared to take it back to the scene grandiosely, waiting for these policemen to search. Is such a novelist a fool?
It is illogical! But what if this person deliberately does not follow the logical route in order to reverse the suspicion?
Before I came, those policemen had recorded the behavior of each of you on the day of the incident. I have seen it, but I am going to see you do it again. Follow me in order of playwright, butler, auctioneer, Daisy, and Ruth. Those who are not called can move freely.
See us do it. Shouldn't it be listened to us? Wait a second. Could it be that Mr. Inference had memorized everyone's testimony word for word before entering the manor, and now he was trying to recreate the scene and see if everyone's words were lying?
15 minutes later.
Ah, shit. Mr. Inference seems to be in a bad mood. It seems that because he couldn't get satisfactory information, it might still be related to the Muse painting.
By the way, wasn't one of Mr. Inference's former friends familiar with art? Don't you ask him?
I volunteered to take a trip on behalf of Inference Onichan.
Be careful on the road. If you are being bullied, then I help you smash that guy.
Okay.
Mr. Butler, it's your turn.
Okay.
You broke your leg and it's inconvenient for you to climb back to the attic of maid's room. Master let you stay in the guest room on the second floor and let me take care of you temporarily.
Wow, so sexy. Wow, bare chest. DM is so fucking handsome even with glasses. The Count.
Come over here. Your stories are ideal. Many expressions that preach the human praise and life philosophy that flowed between the lines. Even if it is a suspenseful case that sees blood, it must be sublimated to some truth, goodness, and beauty. Compared to the first few books, isn't it too round?
Still not working.
Not really. I just don't like this kind of stories. But don't worry, since I promised you, I will definitely help you publish it. Besides, I involved you in this incident this time, so I have to take responsibility. I want to ask you something.
Please ask.
Do you have a relative?
I was raised by my grandparents. When I was young, my parents were busy with work. I had only met them a few times. Later, my parents died in an accident. Soon after, my grandparents also passed away. Since then, I've been living alone. I haven't contacted distant relatives for decades. No one remembers who.
Do you know about your parents' accident?
It seems that there was a fire in the factory where I was working. It was a terrible fire that left no bones. However, the cause of the fire has not been ascertained. Those policemen hastily closed the case. Why did the Count ask such a question?
Oh, I just asked it somehow. Don't worry about it.
Unexpectedly, this great nobleman is not only rich and powerful, but is also far from ordinary people's talents. At first I thought that the Count was just picking me by picking the flowers, funding me as just arty. I never thought I could get a lot of inspiration from the Count's advice. His knowledge of literature seems to be deeper than I am. It's so lucky to be born into big family like the Count.
Lucky? Maybe. Fine, let's change the subject.
It seems that he is apologizing to me for this words and deeds this morning. Did Jonathan listen to what Mr. Inference said? Have you finished asking everyone? So fast.
After 15 minutes later, we'll meet in front of the exhibition hall. Call everyone.
Why did Mr. Inference have such a bad temper after Lady Truth left? Mr. Inference just now was a posture of a superior who was accustomed to giving orders. Maybe Mr. Inference was originally a soldier.
Alright, let's start. The day of the incident. At 5 p.m., the novelist and the Count D.M agreed to meet at Melodis Manor. However, the novelist was late because traffic jams on the road. So D.M first discussed with the playwright Jonathan. At this time, the maids Ruth and Daisy, and the butler Rogers were preparing food in the kitchen. Auctioneer Richard was resting in the room. At 6:30 p.m., the novelist arrives at the manor, because the conversation between D.M and the playwright was not over yet, then arranged for the novelist to wait in the exhibition hall. Butler and Daisy guided the novelist and Ruth continued to prepare food. Auctioneer was still sleeping in the room. Butler guides the novelist to the exhibition hall and heads to the garden to set up a party venue. Daisy remained in the cloakroom to organize the luggages. At 7 p.m., a fire broke out in the cloakroom opposite the exhibition hall. At this time, the novelist was napping, but when he heard the noise, he was worried about his manuscripts and immediately went to see it. At the same time, the playwright who had just finished in conversation with the Count wanted to take a break on the terrace east of the first floor. However, he hears the cloakroom noise and rushes to the cloakroom. The fire had been extinguished by then. Daisy was in the cloakroom at the time when Ruth suddenly walked out of the wooden door in the basement that connected the cloakroom. The two were shocked at each other. Ruth couldn't stand steadily. The candle that Ruth had in her hand touched the tablecloth, and the fire burned. According to Ruth's own testimony, she went to the basement because she was feeling sick. She went to the warehouse where the medicine was stored to get the medicine.
At that time, I went to the basement after asking Butler. Mr. Butler can prove it.
Yes, I gave permission. Ruth is weak and often causes dizziness. When she was preparing a meal, she seemed to be ill, so I asked her to go to the warehouse to find some medicine.
But no one can prove what you were doing in the basement.
I really just went to get the medicine.
Let's continue. After the incident, the playwright went to the attic with Ruth to treat the wound. The novelist also urged Daisy to go for treatment. When Daisy left, she first reported to Butler about the fire in the cloakroom, and the novelist, who stayed alone to clean up, heard a noise in the corridor at that time.
Ahaha, I don't think it is necessary to focus on analysis, because maybe I heard it wrong.
I can't let go of any doubt. It's my judgment.
Oh. Okay.
About that noise. Outside is where the playwright said he wanted to go to take a break on the terrace. Does anyone remember if this door was open?
Do you remember?
I'm not sure.
It was open when I arrived at the cloakroom.
Sure?
I'm sure. Thinking of such a hot day, it would be okay to let the wind through. I didn't turn it off after I saw it.
Alright, I get it.
What did you know?
At 7:10 p.m., the butler arrived at the cloakroom and started cleaning. The novelist worried his manuscripts and took his suitcase returned to the exhibition hall. The novelist never stepped out of the exhibition hall until the banquet began. At the same time, Auctioneer finally got up on the second floor and waited in the central lounge because he had already agreed with Ruth to discuss matters at 7 p.m. But no matter how long he waited, Ruth didn't show up. Finally, the auctioneer saw the playwright taking Ruth up to the attic. He returned to his bedroom on the northeast corner of the second floor. I went to see his room at noon, so I don't need to see it anymore.
Wow. Auctioneer clenches his fist. His face was gloomy. I don't know what he was thinking.
After the playwright sent Ruth back to the room, Ruth declined further help, so the playwright returned to the terrace on the first floor to drink tea. Around 7:30 p.m., he heard there was a quarrel on the second floor and rushed over to take a look. He discovered that the auctioneer and Ruth were arguing, and the two broke up unhappy. Seeing Ruth crying all the time, the playwright accompanied Ruth to comfort her until the butler told them to participate in the fireworks show at night. Auctioneer was angry and closed the door and went out, heading alone to the party venue first. Meanwhile, after the wounds have been treated, Daisy is called by the butler to prepare for the party together in the garden. Each other is a witness to the actions of the two at night. Why were you arguing at that time?
Some private issues.
Don't let me repeat it twice. Loaded. Go ahead to pretend. Do you think I can't observe it?
Mr. Detective, don't force the girl to say what she doesn't want to say. Anyway, it's nothing more than a thing that hurts feelings.
Another idiot again. At 7:40 p.m. the butler returned to the building and invited the guests to the party. As he left the venue, he stumbled across an auctioneer who had just arrived in the garden. There is no contradiction in this regard. After that, the butler called the novelist in the exhibition hall on the first floor, the playwright and Ruth in the central lounge on the second floor, and finally went to the study to find the Count D.M. Everyone arrived at the banquet venue one after another. At 8:10 p.m. the novelist receives a suspicious urgent letter in the middle of the fireworks. He heard the news of a misfire at home, so he hurriedly left Manor, borrowed the butler's key to the exhibition hall, retrieved the suitcase, and left the manor.
It's over.
However, this is only the story of opening. The real conspiracy theory is about to happen.
What the fuck?
After the scapegoat left, according to your own testimony, the maids and the butler have cleared up their meals, and the guests have returned to their rooms. Why did you hurt your leg?
As I said before, I was not feeling well that night. I felt dizzy when I went up the stairs at night. I suddenly stepped on the empty space and fell off the stairs. Everyone can testify.
That's all for today. You can disband.
Is it over? Is it gone? Detective, didn't you just say it's just started?
I'm talking about the actions of the real culprit. But do you think the criminal confesses when you ask in front of everyone?
But
for me, the clues are enough.
My great detective is going to rest.
Damn you, is not this nonsensical?
Huh? But you have done so many investigations and don't continue to follow up. What if something unexpected happens tonight?
Your bedroom is on the 3rd floor, Mr. Detective. Please come with me.
Aren't everyone's guest rooms on the 2nd floor?
It is an instruction from my master, Mr. Detective, as special customer.
I had a hard time falling asleep. I wanted to make amendment my manuscripts again. Let's go to the lounge and make a cup of coffee. Then I met Ruth in the lounge.
Would you like coffee?
Thank you. It was my first time to talk to Ruth privately. This girl seems to have a good personality, gentle and generous, more cheerful than Daisy, and she was indeed pretty. No wonder the playwright liked her. Wow, your coffee smells and tastes so delicious. Are you okay? If you feel uncomfortable about something, you can talk to a friend. You will feel better if you say it. If you think alone so late, you'll get stuck.
I know. After all, as soon as the impulse of the night comes up, I can't tell the difference between black and white. I have nowhere to go.
What happened to Ruth? Her answer were quite irrelevant. Maybe it's because I have the ability to resist drinking too much coffee in the past. A cup of hot coffee made me feel a little sleepy. By the way, why am I so tired?
It doesn't matter if I pour him a few times. It doesn't matter if he has a fever if I get him wake up.
It sounds like Mr. Inference's voice. Why does the content of this sound feel something wrong?
This. Not so good.
Indeed, it's not something that others should say. I agree and forgive in his behalf.
Was it a nightmare? The Count. And why are you guys here?
Woke up.
Did I sleep for a long time?
No, when you woke up, it was already lunchtime.
By the way, there seemed to be more policemen than yesterday. I didn't see the playwright and the two maids.
Daisy tried to poison Ruth last night.
Daisy poisoned Ruth.
Daisy was arrested by the police. Ruth is now wandering between life and death in the hospital. The playwright desperately begs the police. The Count also spoke for him. He finally got the police permission and go to the hospital to accompany Ruth. As for you, I couldn't wake up no matter how I called you. I guess you were drugged.
Hello. There's something happened to your maids. Doesn't DM worry about them at all? Only the Count DM is eating gracefully as usual while being served by the butler.
My family doctor gave you a quick look at your body. There were no particular problems.
I'm going to investigate the room on the 2nd floor of Ruth.
Could you bring me to investigate together? I'm really upset when this happens. I should have noticed earlier. Indeed, Ruth looked weird last night.
Fuck. My original plan was disrupted. I was like an entire volcano was on the verge of eruption at any time. I had no choice. The only clue is that the novelist had communicated with Ruth last night. Let's take this idiot and investigate together. Daisy voluntarily surrendered, After the policeman arrested Daisy, the key to the exhibition hall was found in her belongings. The key was a secret copy of her. Daisy pleaded guilty to police interrogations that she was the one who poisoned and killed Ruth. But other than that, she refused to disclose anything, like despair, and she kept silent about other matters. The policeman thought it was Daisy who stole the painting, but they scrutinized her room and still failed to find the stolen painting.
How could it be Daisy, Mr. Detective? Is it really Daisy?